There we go. Oh my goodness. I am over the moon, excited to have my dear friend Hazel here with me. And Hazel is known as the catalyst. Such a beautiful word, so much in one word. And it definitely describes her wonderfully. Her gentle nudge and her persistence guides you to tune into your innermost self so you can liberate yourself to easily and effortlessly navigate your own life each and every day. Her purpose is to help you become more self-aware, more empowered, and self-resilient by encouraging you to take responsibility and an active role in your own happiness. Oh my goodness. Interactive learning encourages you to understand that everything, including thoughts, words, and emotions and actions, are all simply eternal energy in motion with limitless potential and endless possibilities. Wow. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks, Nancy, for inviting me. I love having conversations with you. I always feel inspired, like there's such a depth of conversations when we get together. So,
and it's like this new world of virtual conversation. It's interesting because I'm here, but I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as though I'm transformed right back to the early years where you were reminding me of the importance of the pause. I was definitely I think I was a challenging student.
No, you were who you were, and you were at where you were at, and that's perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah. Self-awareness.
Yeah.
It's something that I am constantly developing. What is self-awareness?
Really, in truth, it's really getting to know yourself, right? If you're aware, it's people talk about being awake, being aware, and if you're not, then you really don't understand how you tick. You're not in tune with yourself. You're not in sync with yourself, and life happens to you. And very often, being unaware, you're quite vulnerable to be the victim in life. But if you are aware and aware of your thoughts, that's why thoughts, emotions play such a big role. And if you are aware of them, then you are conscious of them. And so you can work with them. If you're unaware, you have no idea. And how that plays out is sometimes people want to change and they're having resistance or it's not happening and they wonder why. And they might not realize that quite often they say the words, I can't. And I can't believe it's raining today. I can't believe I was late. I can't believe this. And then when they go to do something to change, which requires believing in yourself, there's an underlying message that's continually saying, I can't. So awareness is to start really becoming your own observer, really paying attention to everything you do, everything you feel, everything you think, and not in the terms of paranoia, but simply start listening, start paying attention, start hearing. A wonderful exercise you could do is, if you're in a conversation, is ask somebody what they just said. And very often they can't repeat what they just said because they're busy speaking and they're not actively listening. Mm-hmm. So awareness is paying attention, focusing and hearing, listening, feeling all your emotions while you're navigating that whatever's happening in your life. How is this making me feel? How am I thinking about this? Do I have positive? Is it like lifting it, or is it a negative? Am I resisting? Am I rejecting? It's being aware of all those, because we have not talked about emotions as children growing up. We have not talked about the importance of tuning into that and being aware. Very often we're just shut down. Oh, don't cry now. You can't cry now. Don't let people see you crying. So you don't have those opportunities to express yourself. So awareness is even being aware of what we've shut down and suppressed all these years, and bringing that to our awareness. And if it's there, we can do something with it. We can choose to keep it. We can choose to build on it, or we can choose to let it go. But if you're unaware, you're oblivious, and then you're frustrated because you want to make changes and you can't. So that self-awareness brings out self-empowerment, because the empowering part is, I am aware of this. And so I am aware of how I'm thinking and feeling. And so you can create those inner conversations with yourself. And you can recognize if a pattern of behavior is showing up. And it's like, oh, no, I'm not going there this time. I'm going to choose this. So it helps you make new choices as well. And that's where the empowerment comes in, because you're making fresh choices. You're not just working on a reactionary response, right? You're not just automatically reacting to something. So that's kind of part of awareness. It's just
So big.
It's just inner knowing. It's knowing yourself, but it's understanding. And I think that's the part that a lot of people miss. It's one thing to know yourself and to know you do it, but it's the understanding, the compassion, and the love, right? When we function from that, then that's a different way of being. Because it's always, what state are you being? We're in a state of being in this moment. And that's driven by our past experiences. Right?
Oh, they definitely have a way of meandering back into the mind often.
They do.
They do. And we can't deny the past.
No.
But when we allow the past to drive, where are we going to go again?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to repeat that same pattern over and over and over again.
And you lose that opportunity of choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's automatic, non-thinking, non-feeling. We're not even aware of that.
It really is. And, you know, one of the words that we use so much, but I don't think that we actually understand, is the word intuition.
Mm-hmm.
So without trying to define something that is so expansive,
Mm-hmm.
how is it that intuition can help us, and when does connecting, I think that's the best question, when does connecting with intuition help us?
Intuition is like a muscle that you have to practice, right? You have to work and you have to keep practicing that muscle. We all have intuition. And here's something that to consider, because this is, as you know, I approach life from different perspectives sometimes, and I have a different way of thinking than the average person, or I'll say not the average person. That's a misconception. But I do have a different way of thinking. So intuition, people often refer to it as a sixth sense. It's that extra sensory perception. In this 3D world, we have our 5 senses, and that's how we navigate. That's how we experience the world, is through our sight, through our hearing, through our touch, through our smell, through our taste. But we also have that extra sensory, is what they call it, right? Where we just have that intuitive knowing, or we can see with our mind's eye. We get, when we dream or if we get visions, we begin to see with our mind's eye and not our physical eye. That's tuning into our intuition. It's tuning into that invisible part of this, but it's a higher frequency. It's more sensory aware. But you know what? It's not your sixth sense. This is why I challenge people. It's actually your first sense.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Because
right?
think about it. You were born with it. You came into this world with that inner knowing, with that soul aspect. right?
Yeah.
With that energy body, we were soul, we were spirit, we were human. That's the process. I don't even say body, mind, soul. For me, it's we're soul and we're coming to have this experience. And because there's such a high frequency in the soul, we cannot exist in this 3D world. Then our energy, that invisible energy, which is our personal bubble, right? That aura that people talk about, that personal space is our energy fields. And from that, in that lower frequency becomes that hologram of our body. And that's the 3D, that perception that we have this physical body. It's just because it's visible in the physical world. But actually, your thoughts and your emotions are actually outside of the world.
Mhm.
And that's your first, because we're energy before we are this physical. So it's actually your first senses. And we're tapping into those energy fields of thoughts and emotion that are communicating internally with our soul, that inner self that we know as our soul. And that communication is happening all the time, all the time, all the time. It's just, as children, very often it has diminished because we haven't practiced it, we haven't used it, or it's been squashed. Oh, don't be silly, you don't see that. Well, yeah, I do, but no, it's not real. And we have that division of, we live in this real world, but what is real? So I challenge that intuition is actually it's not your extra sense. It's actually your first sense. It's innate within you. Everybody has it. It's that inner knowing. It's that inner gut feeling that when something feels off, when something feels out of sync, and you get that angry knot in your stomach, something doesn't feel right. That's your intuition. But it's not extra. You were born with that. You came with that. That's your GPS system that you brought with you to help you navigate this 3D world. I know it's a different perception, but you know me, I think differently. But I
Well,
challenge on that one.
and it's a beautiful way. I think that quite often the words that are used in life are what creates the other sixth sense. There, I mean, a movie was made that said the sixth sense.
Yes, it was beautiful. Yeah.
It was a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
So if we spend the majority of our time outside of our intuition, then tapping back into it takes practice.
It does take practice, right? We've simply just disconnected. And there's a lot of people feeling disconnected and lost and out of sorts. And that's part of the reason. They've lost that connection to themselves. They've lost that connection to the inner self, to the higher self, to the soul self, whatever term, whatever aspect of yourself, because there's many of those, but they've lost that connection. They've lost that communication. And a lot of people are seeking help outside of themselves, when in truth, really, it's just to connect within and reconnect with your soul self, reconnect with that innate sensory awareness that is already built in. You don't even have to create it. It already exists. Yes. And we just need to, it's like think of a radio station, right? A radio, and there's different stations. Well, all we're doing is fine-tuning that frequency so we can communicate on that station.
Yes.
And that's tuning into your intuition, tuning into your thoughts.
I often explain to people, it's the me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
And the I is in spirit, inspiration, into myself I see. But again, if you don't know what that looks like, it's confusing.
It can be. And it's funny because I have a me, myself, and I, and we all have different interpretations in that, but it is literally me, myself, and I, and it's soul, spirit, human. Who am I being in this moment? And sometimes I don't even say human. I don't call it a body. That's just the physical. I talk in terms of energy. Energetically, we are a soul. We have spirit energy, and we are humane. That is our state of being, who are we being in this moment. And that's the energy of who we are, who we're showing up as. right? That personality traits, etc. So very often it's like soul, spirit, and humane, right?
Yes.
Because we'll use those references. Oh, I'm in good spirits today. We have lots of references we use, but what does that mean? And in good
Mhm.
spirits, well, everything is, you're happy, you're healthy, you're full of life, you're full of vitality. And that is your spiritual energy. That's your spirit self, just
Yes.
glowing and radiating in those frequencies. Right? It's a wonderful concept. But
Tuning in,
and I love yours
tuning in,
myself, that inspiration. Yeah. Yeah.
constantly tuning in to that.
It is.
And
It is.
there's so many ways to do that. One of my favorite ways is a way that you taught me. I'm hoping that you have some time for that, for the I call it the head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but it's not called that. It's
My
like
simple explanation is a snowman.
the snowman, right? The
Because everyone got
snowman.
a vision of a snowman, right? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah. But here's what's interesting about that. And yeah, I'd love to do that. Thanks for asking. I'd love to share that. It's a really important, it's a visual and it's a physical, it's an experiential way of doing that meditation to really tune into the headspace, right? That's where all the thinking takes place. And then into the heart space, which is the feelings. And the Hara, Hara. People used to think I was saying horror, and it's like, because of the accent. So I always spell it out, Hara, which is really your gut instincts, right? But one of the benefits of tuning into your intuition is you can always know instantly if something is aligned for you, if something is in harmony with you, by tuning in and feeling those connections, you will be able to, and we'll do this in the activity. But if you make a statement, this is why it's important to check in and watch your intuition, watch your innermost self. How does your innermost self feel? How does your soul feel about this? Is it aligned? Is it synchronistic? Is it in harmony? Or is it out of sync? Does it feel yucky? Does it feel heavy? And so we'll talk about that, yeah, in the meditation. But by learning that, that is one powerful tool that you have with you 24/7, and it empowers you because you can always check in regardless. That's one of my favorite words, regardless of what other people think and regardless of what other people are telling you to do. And I think this is so important for children to learn, because they are still in tune with their instincts and they get the feelings but they ignore them. And that's where we learn to ignore our own intuition very often, because adults tell us differently, so we have to follow the adults, when really as a child we've experienced going against that intuition and the consequences of it, or we've felt our intuition and we've ignored it. And so I think the snowman is great to do with kids as well, parents and kids, and especially if you're homeschooling, right? You can add it as an activity, but to tune into your own inner knowing is such a powerful tool.
It is. It is. I know I've been using the process for so long that my hands intuitively go to those places.
Yeah,
It's changing. It's so powerful.
it is. Yeah. And it's nothing scary. I mean, really, I
Mm.
mentioned at the beginning about self-awareness, and it really is about paying attention, paying attention, paying attention. Be aware, be awake. So many people go through life with their eyes closed. They don't, and they don't see things, they don't hear things. They can take a walk in nature and not realize the beautiful flowers that they're walking past, or the beautiful aromas that are coming up from those flowers, or from the leaves, or from the rain, or from the moss. And they're just oblivious to all of that. And they go for a walk, and that's it. They've been for a walk. And maybe totally missed all that sensory awareness that was right there for them. And so it's be aware, pay attention.
Wow. You can fall in love with where you are in life.
Absolutely.
And, and see the beauty of the world that's right here.
Yeah.
Right here, right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So what do we do? How do we do this?
Okay. Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to close our eyes. All right. If you're at home and you can stand up, it's great to do standing up. If you're sitting down, that's fine too. But it's just sometimes when to do a standing meditation can be more powerful because you're also standing in your power, right? So let's just close our eyes if you haven't already done so and start to focus on your breathing. Breathing is essential to any meditation. Breathing is essential for life, and learning to slow that breath down is so important. Just that simple awareness on your breath and that simple pause that Nancy referred to at the beginning is essential. To take a pause and breathe. And as you're breathing, place your awareness now on the sound that your breath is making as you inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, and be aware of the different sounds. And as you continue to breathe, see if you can slow that breath down, or simply be aware that as you focus on your breath, it will naturally slow down. Let's move our awareness from the sound of the breath to the physical feeling. In other words, feel the breath as you inhale and feel the body expand and contract, and focus on the expansion and contraction, how that feels in the body. Good job. I'd like you to place all your awareness now inside your head. And inside the head is your thinking center, where your brain is functioning, where that chitter chatter is, that busy chitter chatter can really occupy the mind. It's your thinking center. All thoughts are transmitted from the thought field outside of you. It's within the brain that the thoughts are converted into words and language. Perhaps be aware of the conversation that you may be having at this moment. What are you thinking about? Just be the observer. We're not going to engage in conversation. Just be the listener. Now place one hand on your heart and move your awareness down to the heart's center. And the heart is that communication center for feelings. It takes the emotions that are in the emotional field, and in the physical, they are translated as feelings. And that's what we physically feel in the body, is the feelings of the emotions. There are two main emotions that drive us: fear or love. Fear or love. This is where we go to check, how do we feel about a statement? How do we feel about what's happening? How does it make us feel inside? What is the emotion? What is the feeling? Place your other hand now just below the belly button, right at the gut. This is your core center. This is your, I call it your action center. This is the gut center where very often you can feel either the knots in your stomach, if something doesn't feel right, and the stomach contracts and it feels tight, it feels heavy, it feels anxious. Or when you're excited, maybe a little nervous and maybe a little bit fearful because it's something new that you're trying, the energy in there might feel like butterflies, just gently tickling, fluttering around. And we often say we have butterflies in our tummy. And especially for children, butterflies in your tummy or angry bees. Butterflies or knots in your stomach. And children can understand that because they can feel it. Even as adults, we can feel it. So we have three centers. Bring your awareness back up to the head. This is the head space, the thinking center. This is where that chitter-chatter is. This is where we hear conversations. This is our first response when words come in and are translated. Our heart, move your awareness down to your heart. We'll check in, how do I feel about that? I like that, I dislike that. Oh, that makes me feel sad. That makes me feel happy. That is the response to those words. And then check in with your gut instincts. And the gut instincts is driving your actions. So I call it the action center. What are you going to do about it? What is the next step? So let's just try that for a moment. Let's just make a statement. I am happy. I am happy. And go into the heart center. Does that resonate? What do you feel? Does that feel good? Does it feel light? I'm happy. Is it in agreement? Or is some part of you, are you not feeling it? Are you just telling yourself a lie? I feel happy, but yet inside, no, I really feel depressed. I feel angry. And the heart feels heavy. And then go to your gut instincts. How do you feel? What's the gut instinct telling you when you make that statement about yourself? Again, is it light? Is it happy? Is it the butterflies? Yeah, 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 happy, happy dance. Or is it heavy and a knot? Thinking, no, I'm not really happy. Let's go back to the headspace. Let's make a statement and say, I love myself unconditionally, completely. And then go into the heart. Is that true for you? Does that feel loving? Or is there a fear? And let's focus on the two, love or fear, love or fear. We're either moving towards love or away from love. It's either expanding or contracting. It feels wonderful or not so wonderful. And then check in with your gut instincts. Is that true? That's where we go for the truth. Is that true for you? What is your gut instinct saying? What is your soul saying? Is that aligned for you? In this moment, is that truth? We'll give one more example for you to experience. It might be that you are thinking about either stepping out of a job, leaving a job, or perhaps leaving a partnership, leaving a business, whatever. You're thinking of stepping out. And so just make that statement in your head. I am leaving my job. I am leaving this relationship. And then check in with your heart. How does that feel? What's your inner knowing telling you? How do you feel about that? And then check in your gut instinct. What is your truth? What is aligned for you? Bring your awareness back now into your heart center. And just feel, tune into the love that is in your heart. And let that love just fill your heart. Just feel it expanding. And just filling your heart with this beautiful essence of love and light. And then feel that expanding out of your heart center and into the rest of your body. Filling every cell in your body with love. Maybe this is something you experience. Maybe this is something new for you, to realize that every cell in your body is love and light. And tune into that. I am love and light, and feel the love within. Put both hands on your heart and make the statement, I love me. Take a deep breath, open your eyes, take a stretch. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. When earlier when I said I instinctively put my hands there, that is there.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think physically putting your hands on your heart and your heart on your gut, it's a reminder, it's a physical reminder to get out of your head, because you can't put a hand there because you've only got two hands. So we want to connect and make that connection to our heart, to how we're feeling, to that love within us, and approach everything from love. If we approach everything from love, it's a different dynamics and it creates a different outcome. And then the other hand on the gut instincts, and really tune in, because that's your truth. Your soul knows your truth, and your soul will always guide you to your truth and keep you aligned to your truth. So if we work from heart and soul, we're working from that love and we're working from that truth. And if we let our heart and soul be our guide and be our truth and work with that, then it really helps to get out of that constant battle in our minds. It's a battle in the mind. Should I do this? Should I do that? What if this? What if that? That's just ego chatting away, because ego's trying to find the logic and find where does it fit. So it's going to keep asking those questions. And we do the logic question. Should I do this? We get the pros and cons. That's all ego, right? Oh, I've got more cons. Okay, I won't do it. But that might be the best thing for you, regardless of how many cons there are. But if you ask the question of your heart and soul, you will be guided to your truth. That is tuning into your own intuition. And when you ask the question, when do we tune into that? The more you practice that, the more it will just be a natural part of you. And you don't have to physically go there to ask the question, because you'll be so aligned to that everything you'll do, you will be more aware when something extraordinary or out of sync pops up, because it just does not feel right. And as soon as you get that like knots inside, it's like, oh, it's your intuition shouting at you, hey, pay attention, something's not aligning here. But if we haven't practiced tuning into there, we get those flutterbys, and I say flutterbys, but you get that and we ignore it. How many times has our intuition told us something, and then we've either second guessed or gone in to try and analyze it and chosen something else? Even if you're in a quiz and an answer comes through and you think, oh, and then you start to doubt, is that true? Just put it down, because how many times you say the first answer is the answer. The first thing you say is the truth. After that, ego's had time to process, right? When working with clients is interesting, because I'll ask a question and they'll say something and I'll repeat it back and they go, oh, well, I didn't mean that. That sounds a bit harsh. And I said, that was the first thing that came out your mouth. That's what we're working with. And they try and reduce it. Well, I don't mean it. That sounds really cruel. No, that came out your mouth over working with that, because you're speaking. That's part of that awareness too, is being aware of what you speak, what you say, what you think, what you feel. It's tuning into your senses, really. But most important, that first sense, which is your innate sense, which already exists, but we're out of practice tuning into.
It does become second nature. And it does take practice, just like here we are in our world right now. Beautiful sun is shining and we're entering the fall and the winter, preparing for the spring and the summer. And we have to make choices as to how we want the next season to be.
Yes.
You've got to do the work to make the harvest. So what is it that you want to grow in your own life? Right?
It is. And people are faced a lot right now. That's why I use the job one, because that's been coming up a lot. You can make that a statement, you know, it's right for me. It's perfect timing for me to step out of this job. And I just did that last week with a girl, and she had 2 jobs and she was trying to make that decision, which job do I do? And she asked people, and then she just got so confused. And she goes, then I realized their values are not aligned with mine. So when you do that, you're giving your power away. You're asking someone else to make a decision for you. And is that going to be the most aligned decision? No, it might accidentally be, but the most aligned decision you can make is for yourself, within yourself, because only you knows you. There's only one of you. Only you has had your experiences. Only you knows your true desires and your purpose. So really, only you can make your own decisions. So it's about not giving that power away. And that's where your intuition becomes even more important. Be able to tune into that. And as you say, you've got to do the work. You've got to grow to reap the harvest. And the more you practice, then the easier it becomes. Right? And then that's part of, we make life so complicated, and it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't. And by tuning into your intuition, actually makes life a lot easier.
So simple.
Yeah.
It does. So simple, so much fun. And that's where we were talking about children, and you see children being the hero in their story. They put the cape on and they run around the house and they have fun. Love is fun.
It is fun, right? It's that freedom. And to be aware of what is, because most people are struggling with, we have come to understand, right? And not everybody has done as much work as we have done. And some people have done a lot more work than we have done. We're all on our learning curve, and wherever we are is wherever we are, right? It's perfect for who we are. But in that learning curve of stepping into that power and practicing that intuition, it does become easier. It does become easier. And children live in the moment, right? We have become so programmed. And that's why it's so important to get out of this headspace, because our patterns, our thought patterns, our, everything in that subconscious is there. That's the autopilot that's driving us. And so we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of words. You know me, words have a big part of my mentoring is to actually look at those words. What do those words mean to you? Because we use words, and very often that's the miscommunication. I use the word, you have your experiences around that word, I have mine, and they're two different things. And we wonder why you're not getting what we're saying, because this is what I'm thinking in my head. This is what it means. You hear it and you're thinking in your head, well, this is what it means to me. And we miscommunicate. So sometimes that's awareness of what you're saying and how you're saying it, because the emotion changes the dynamics. But most adults are having these issues now, and they want to release and let go. They want to change, and they have these ailments. But remember, it's not physical. It's just a symptom. It's the energy that is not moving as quickly and becomes congested. And some people will say it's stuck, it's a blockage. I just like to think it's either stagnant or it's just sluggish. But we store those emotions, that energy. And every time we experience, say it's sadness, then that just keeps getting stored and stored and stored and stored. And if we don't know how to navigate that and process that, then it builds up and we become a very sad person. And we want to be happy, but we don't know how to get,
But we don't
how
know
to dissolve. Yeah.
Right? And it's the programming we talk
Yeah.
about. We talk about programming. We hear that often. And one of the things that I was taught a long time ago as a computer programmer way back was garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely.
And we have to
it's
change.
only, yeah, you have to change. Sorry.
Yeah, we have to. Well, we have to, if your garbage stinks, then you need to take out the garbage.
Yeah.
So what if you can change the garbage in your mind?
Yes.
What if you can clean that up?
Yeah.
That sounds like fun to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Children love cleaning.
Pardon?
Children love cleaning.
Oh, they do.
Children love to clean.
Yes, yes. I like to do a little meditation. It's called scrubbing bubbles. And then you can send scrubbing bubbles around, type things. You can make meditations a lot of fun. But you put, you just put scrubbing bubbles in there and let them scrub away and take away the debris and whatever. And yeah, it's fun.
It is fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this was fun, and I'm looking forward to doing this again and again and again. Oh, I love spending time with Hazel.
Yeah, Hazel time.
All right. Yeah.
I just had a student and she wanted something. I said, well, and she goes, I just wanted some Hazel time. And I went, okay, fine. What do you want to learn? I want to learn this. Okay, fine. We'll set it up. But I think the time, if there's a message that can be given today is the importance of spending time with yourself. You mentioned me, myself, and I. How much time does everyone spend and give that priority and allow themselves that space and time to just simply be? No agenda, just pause and breathe. Even if it's 5 minutes, take 5 3 times a day. That's my prescription for everybody. I don't diagnose and prescribe. I said the only prescription I give is take 5 3 times a day. And that's just to always just keep checking in that you're in sync with yourself and just pause and breathe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Self-care is something that we can do every day.
Absolutely.
And self-care with a meaningful connection.
Yeah.
Is here. It's this meaningful connection, because you wake up with yourself every day.
I know.
It's pretty important.
You can't get away from yourself. right? So
No, you
it's
can't.
about making friends with yourself, getting to know yourself, and being the best that you, who's your best friend, right?
Yeah,
Um, Make yourself your best friend.
yeah.
You're never alone. You're never alone. Me,
No,
myself,
you're
and I.
never. Me,
Yeah.
myself, and I. And when you can get that right, so much changes in your life.
Everything will be more synchronous and it falls into place. But
Yes.
as you said, when you get that right, it's amazing how doors open, avenues open, but how peaceful, how harmoniously, how full of vitality, and just how light and lively your life becomes. The key to that is you are strong, you are empowered within. So regardless of whatever shows up, and we talked about that before we came on, each day, you might, little challenges might surprise you type thing, and, knock you off tilt sometimes. But if you have this all connected within, you can navigate that with ease, and it doesn't become a big problem, and you're able to navigate through it so you don't get stuck. It doesn't stop you in your tracks, and you are empowered. And that's life happens for you. So we begin to embrace even those little challenges because, oh, it popped up for me for whatever reason. Okay, let's go there and navigate through that. So it becomes like an adventure course, right? That you go
Oh,
through
it does.
and you
It
just
does.
navigate. Yeah.
Well, and then you tap into your own wonderful gifts. There is with me acronyms, my gosh, but we quite often hear people say that they have OCD, one common denominator. It's you.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
always has
That's
been.
yeah. When you say that OCD, I have. I mean, that's a whole another avenue to explore, right? Because
Right?
taking on those labels, that's a whole different
Mm.
topic again. And I think it fascinates me, life, and it fascinates me how we function as a human being.
Oh
It
gosh,
fascinates
yes.
me how inspiration, ideas, like how everything works. And I love that science is catching up and is showing us about quantum physics and about neuroplasticity and that, because we've been doing things that we know intuitively that maybe other people can't understand, because it's in that collective consciousness. It's there for everybody to tap into. And then science has to prove it in linear terms, and you have to have the science to prove it. And we're so driven by science in the 3D world. And I had a talk with it's just a quick story, with a psychologist who worked with us opposite me. And we were talking about the energy bubble, because, as you know, that was my first book. And he would say they could only work with techniques that have been proven.
Mm.
So you got to do all the science first before they can say, well, okay, yes, you can use this technique. And our conversation was interesting because I say, I use techniques that I intuitively know, or that I intuitively inspired to do,
Yes.
but there's no science to back it up. But that's how I work. I work from intuition and inspiration. That's who I am. And it was interesting because he was very limited, because he could only work with what science has proven. So just to what that really shows, like with the
It's
intuition,
fun to
how
play with intuition.
it's
Intuition is
expansive and
fun.
it's limitless,
Oh, it's
right?
so much fun.
Yeah.
And in the diagnosis of so many things, we don't have that connection. And I know when I've spoken with my own doctor explaining some of the things that I do, we've got a wonderful relationship, and it's been a long relationship. And I remember the first time I said to him, I can tell you what color underwear you're wearing. And he kind of giggled and laughed, and I said a color, and he just, I mean, I knew I was right because he went 50 shades of red.
Yeah.
And to be able to have a relationship with him where we're able to talk about intuition and science, I've learned so much from him. He's learned so much from me. We
Yes.
can always learn from each other.
Oh, absolutely. That's what
All of
life
us.
is. We're constantly learning, right? We're constantly learning. But as you said, to have that conversation with science and intuition, and to bring that connect, that's part of what is evolving now, because science is starting to prove what the things we were speaking about, and how your thoughts affect your body and how emotions affect your body. They're showing the chemistry of that now. They're showing the science in that now. And it's like, there's the proof. We couldn't prove it before, other than testimonies, but still people wouldn't believe it, because seeing is believing in some circumstances. Excuse me. So, and there's a lot of people still want the science even behind this intuitive work. So I'm thankful for the Greg Bradens, the Bruce Liptons, Dr. Joe Dispenza, all these people who are willingly spending hours and hours and hours doing the research. I'm so thankful for that. Yeah.
There's so much beautiful information and knowledge out there. We are blessed in our world right now.
It is a time of expansion right now. And as much as there's chaos in the world, just remember, through chaos comes the calm, right? It's like you clean out your closet or cleaning a room, and you have to make all this chaos because everything is everywhere. And then you decide what you're going to put back in that closet. And then you let go of the stuff you let go of, you recycle whatever can, put out in the garbage, whatever's garbage, and you're left with this beautiful space that is, full of amazing energy. And literally put that on a large scale. Humanity's just going through. It's not one person, it's everybody.
Yep.
Right? We're all going through this chaos, but remember to stay true to yourself. Stay connected and approach everything from love, from a loving heart, and from your soul guidance. And we will all navigate through this and be in that beautiful space of balance and harmony and love and light. It's not a fairy tale. I mean, you can bring that fairy tale to life, right? But it's not a myth. It is actually in the process of happening.
It really is. And there is so much hope right now for a peace within.
Yeah. And there is a calling for this right now, as you say, to create that peace within. But to do that, you've got to stand in your own power, and you've got to make decisions that are aligned for you. Yes. And sometimes that's difficult when everyone's saying do one thing and you feel that this is what you want to do and you're comfortable with your decision. And to stand strong in that decision sometimes can be a challenge. And I understand that. I really do. And ultimately, there's no right and wrong. And if we realize that, that's 3D thinking, that's ego thinking.
Absolutely. And sometimes you have to step back into those 2-year-old pants and do what you want to do for you.
Kids intuitively do what they want to do. They'll play with something. Okay, I'm off with that. Now I'm going to do this. And there's no getting caught up in trying to analyze. They just do what they love to do. And that's simple. They laugh if they laugh because it's funny. They don't think, oh, I can't laugh here. They're just fully themselves. It's wonderful to watch kids. And I think as adults, we need those reminders.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
we really do.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with wonderful people and wonderful things will happen.
Exactly. Right. Because you're on that same frequency.
Yes.
Right? You're vibrating on that same, so you're aligned and you get more of it. You said earlier, garbage in, garbage out. But if you're putting out love and light and you're with people with love and light, guess what? Your world is going to be filled with love and light because you're surrounded by it and you're being it. You have to be it. You have to be on that frequency, right? You have to, and it does exist, but you have to be it, right? I know that was a bit.
You
gotta be
it. No, but you have to be it just for today, right?
That's why I love Reiki, right? It teaches you that just for today, just this moment. And actually, I take it from just for today to just this moment, just in this moment.
Moment by moment, minute by minute, breath by breath.
Yes. And think about it. It's really is always this moment. It's always this minute. It's always this breath, because that's all we have at this now moment, which is ever evolving, ever changing. It's always eternal. It's an eternal.
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a much simpler way of living. It's a much happier way of living.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Keep
And
it
you're
simple,
doing,
sunshine.
it is, yeah. You're doing amazing work, and I love that exponential joy. I just love that. And you did that 10 days of
10 days of wow.
wow. Yeah.
Transform now. You know, it's got all those wonderful words, and words do have great power.
Yes.
Truly,
Yes.
truly do.
Yeah.
And when we continue to take note of what we are doing, we are in our own power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great place to be.
It
Really,
is, right?
really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. It really
Yeah.
diminishes the doubts, the fears. It's like, I'll do it. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, okay, plan B. And it just always evolves, right? It's not to get stuck at the gates and say, oh, what do I do? And not even step onto the path and let everything just close you down, shut you down.
No, no.
Fear will do that to you.
Fear
That's a
will
whole
hold
other
you
topic.
back. Fear will
Yeah.
hold you back, and
Yeah.
joy will always move you forward.
Yes.
Love, joy, happiness, all
Yeah.
of those wonderful creative emotions.
Yeah.
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 We were born to create.
That's who we are, right? Everything you do is creating and evolving into that, as we call it and refer to it as the next moment, because we think in linear terms. But yes, we are born to create, and everything you do, every action, every thought is creating your reality, right? Everything, every belief, every program. And so when we are aware of that, and again, it really does boil down to self-awareness, because from that, then we can begin to understand. If we're not aware, nothing you can do. You're oblivious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better to be aware.
Yeah. Then you can do something about it. You can
Yeah.
consciously choose. You can consciously create. As you said, we're creating all the time.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
You're beautiful. Thank you
Mm,
so much for inviting me.
you are welcome. Thank you. And until next time.
I know. Keep breathing slow, everybody. Keep tuning into your heart and Hara, and stay connected to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, thank you. And as I always say, peace out. Have a
Awesome.
wonderful day. I love you
Thank you.
so much.
Love you too. All right. Take care.
Bye, sweets.
All right. Bye, everybody.
I'm now trying to hit stop. There it is. There's the button. That's where the editing is going to come in. I'm like, end meeting for all. I'm like, no, I don't want to end it. I want to stop it. Like,
Yeah. You can
stop it.
pause recording or stop recording.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's
I didn't
true.
hear a word that said stop recording. You're still recording.
Stop. Oh, there it is.